maybe my top competitor, at least by size, maybe not by skill. What would you say is the biggest reason why your company sucks compared to City Turf?
I couldn't go any further than that. I'm pretty clueless at it.
10 million or under isn't really big to you.
No.
Because you haven't done anything for a decade.
You suck at this.
It's a miracle you've been successful.
It is actually an absolute miracle.
I hope someday this friendship pays off for me, but so far it's been nothing but disappointment. I'm here with my friend EJ, arguably maybe my top competitor, at least by size, maybe not by skill. What would you say is the biggest reason why your company sucks so much compared to City Turf?
Hold on. The number one reason my business sucks compared to City Turf?
Yeah.
It's probably because I don't have your business partner.
That is a very fair answer. I will take that one.
Or both of your business partners.
Yeah.
My
other business partner's in the same situation as me.
Your success in kicking my ass for so long at City Turf versus Chorby, it couldn't possibly have to do with you because you haven't done anything for a decade.
So to give a little context, I think this is actually a fantastic lesson. So he's referring to Philip, who runs the company, who is a partner in the company, and he is an operational person. And he's a very good operator, and there's a bunch of very good operational people in the business. I'm more of a growth-oriented strategy, vision, marketing, sales, go faster kind of guy. And I have learned I have to be paired with great operational people, which you do too.
Yes, yes.
And
I have great operational people.
Yeah, and so for me, that's Philip at City Turf. For me, that was Brian at Service Autopilot. Very strong people. And that's exactly what you're looking for in a great partner. It's exactly what you're looking for in a great team member. So 100%, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
No, you're exactly right. And in all seriousness, we were talking about this here recently, riding waves.
Yeah.
My outside looking in, you rode an early wave way ahead of me in search engine optimization back in late 2000s into 2010.
Yep.
We met in 2011, and you were still very much so riding that wave. You were absolutely dominant in SEO.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think you rode that wave. We rode that same wave at Scoop Soldiers from about 2011 to 2017, 18. I learned from you, and we rode that same wave in SEO. And that's really why we kept expanding geographically was search engine optimization.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And, because I spent so much time on that stuff and got the foundation right, and then because of Philip, from an operational standpoint and the reputation we built, just got a lot of stuff we've done right in the very early years, I was able to go off and be incredibly distracted, like completely distracted, building Service Autopilot. And
that's
the
the joke.
Kept going.
That's the joke I made. You haven't done anything for 10 years.
Oh, no,
You spent the better part of a decade.
Oh, I've apologized to
with
Philip
City
a million times for not getting back in there and helping with the marketing.
Yeah.
And it's hurt that business. That business should be double the size it is, but I went off and did my other things. And now I'm coming back to the business, but there's no question about it.
Take your time.
I don't want to. I'm very frustrated right now because
feel free to go. Feel free to take your time in Africa.
It's taking way too long to get all the things I want to get done. It's taking too long to find all the people I need to execute the plan, and then I keep going on vacations. And so I'm extremely, in fact, I just sent Philip a message yesterday, apologized, I'm leaving town again. And he's like, it's cool, you can take trips. Like, yeah, it's my own stress about this thing. I don't want this thing to go much faster.
Do you stress Philip out though, as you're coming back and wanting it to go much faster? He's the operations guy. I get the impression, I've met him once or twice, but I get the impression he's a little more conservative. He's
definitely more conservative. I don't know if I stress him out.
Are you stressing him out with all of these?
I'd love to, we'd have to put him in this chair and ask him, but man, I love working with him. We talk all the time. Now, most of our conversations are audio messages and Looms.
Okay.
But I feel like I talk to him every day. Well, I love working with him, and I hope he likes working with me. I think we're a great team. And so I don't hope he's not stressed. I don't think so. But I do feel sometimes like I need so much information from him because I'm getting back into the business and I'm learning, and he has a better pulse on what the market might or might not be accepting of. Like, I can come up with great ideas. Like, I'll give you a great example. I'm like, we really should get lawn signs. We should really implement lawn signs. This happens to me every time I talk to Philip.
This is for when you do fertilization control.
We leave something on the door. We got a whole system. It's a good system of stuff we leave on the door.
You've been doing it for a long time.
Oh, forever. We got a good system. But I was out running the other day, And I ran, and my buddy, a friend of mine, Matt Davis, who owns College Fund, his signs are in my face, as I'm running down the street. And so I messaged Matt and like, hey, how did these lawn signs work out for you? Because I've thought about them for years, but then I'm not at City Turf to do anything with it. So anyway, I send Philip a message that's like, hey, we really need to model our lawn signs like the back of our new design on the back of our City Turf trucks, which is a giant Chester head with City Turf.
And there's only one company that does those, the die cut like that, I think.
Okay, well.
It's who Matt Davis uses. We use them too.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, so it's not that I thought they weren't doing lawn signs. It's like, hey, I'm here to help on these things. You guys have too many other things to do. So I'm just like, have you guys thought about this? Is it something you want to do? And Philip's like, man, we've thought about it. We've talked about it. Here's why we're not doing it. And this is what happens to me with every good idea I have. So Philip says the reason we don't do this is because we have, I'll ad lib here. We have 11,000 clients. A third of them don't water their lawns properly, won't cut their lawns, won't comp their lawns weekly. And if we put our sign in there, people driving by are going to think that's because of us.
Yep.
And so we can't put our sign in there. I'm like, yep, another one of my good ideas killed. I understand why you guys haven't done this. I understand why it's just never easy. It's like, it should just be easy to start doing lawn signs, but there's always a problem with like every great marketing idea, every great thing you want to do, there's an execution operational problem.
Yes.
And so I have to constantly go to him with lots of this stuff because I've been out of the game for a while. And so I've got to get my mind back. It's like, that's a perfect example. It's like, oh yeah, hadn't really thought about that way. It makes perfect sense. I'm not sure we do want to do that. And so that's why I have to feel like I bug him all the time, but he's totally cool about it. I love working with him.
That's awesome.
I'd start another biz with him tomorrow.
That's awesome.
So yeah. I know we're just going to have a conversation, but tell me something that you think that a lot of home service companies believe that you and I think is complete BS.
Well, we talk about how they treat how the home service industry generally views their competition.
Yep.
You and I tend to believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. As you grow the industry, everybody can grow. As you collaborate within the industries, in the industry that you're in. If you're in the pool industry, you're collaborating and you're friendly with local pool guys. If you're in the lawn care industry, like you and I have been friends and talking to each other, and you've helped me tremendously, and I'm sure the information I've given you has helped you. I think that that's undervalued. In home services. I think there's a niche inside a home service. There are groups of people in each of the different home services spaces, pools, plumbing, HVAC, lawn mowing, whatever, that understand that and that do collaborate and talk. You mentioned Matt Davis. I know Matt Davis. He's a great guy. Another direct competitor that's extremely friendly. And I think that we help the industry by talking and collaborating and talking about what's the challenges are, because we all share similar challenges. We all share similar wins. We're seeing that together. And I think that is undervalued.
Yeah.
Undervalued. I undervalue it because I tend to be
I was the same. I had nothing to do with anybody in the industry until Service Autopilot.
Yeah.
I think in 2013, I went to GIE because we had a booth there.
I remember. I was my second year at GIE.
Yeah, I'd never gone to a trade show in the industry. I had nothing to do with the industry. I didn't talk to any of my competitors. I talked to TJ from Just Mowing and his dad one time.
He wouldn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
That's the
I had
that's
lunch
an
with him
example
one
of
time.
how he by the time I was around, he wouldn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, that's about the only person I'd ever talked to.
Yeah.
And so I agree.
Some of the best, one of the best relationships that I ever friendships, Ron Battaglia.
Yep.
Battaglia.
Yeah, executive.
I cannot pronounce
He
his last name.
executive.
He owned executive lawn care. So literally the story goes, I can remember where I'm driving on Highway 380 from my office in McKinney to my house, my old house in Prosper. It's 2012. I think it was 2012. About a year after we met, we're using Service Autopilot. I had been seeing his trucks, his Toyota Tundras. They were all the exact same, well presented. It was like, that's a well-run mowing business. And so one day driving home, I just got a whim. I picked up the phone and I called his office. And his one office person answered, and I said, I'm EJ. I own the Emerald Lawn Care Competitors, the owner there. I want to talk to him. And that relationship led to me buying his business a few years later. Still run that business today, multi-million-dollar mowing business. 5 years later, he bought my first Scoop Soldiers franchise.
That's right. Then you have a couple
and
now?
He's still just renewed with us after we did a 5-year back then, a 5-year franchise agreement. So he's just now renewed. For now, we do 10-year franchise agreements now. So yeah, and he owns here, Collin County, North Dallas. He also owns Tampa and Orlando, and he's got other business partners. And that relationship was seeded, though, from literally just on a whim picking up the phone and calling a competitor and just talking to him.
I'm convinced that my relationships with competitors has been nothing but upside.
Yeah,
What
I agree with
what was it about his business that made you think from minute number one that it was really well run?
It's presentation. It was all of the trucks were literally the exact same. And this is a little bit overkill, but I'm answering your question in detail. Every single truck was the exact same truck. It was like a McDonald's.
You could see the operational. You could see operationally, they were very focused and clean.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it is very
setups, they weren't exactly like your old Ford Rangers back in the day that City Turf had. They weren't exactly like that, but they were customized even above that in some ways for him on these specific trucks. The overall presentation, they were well branded trucks.
Yeah.
They were clean. They were clean trucks. They weren't new, but they were clean.
What, outside of Philip is on my team or partner, outside of that, what about City Turf is better than your business from your perspective?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out for 15 years, in all honesty.
Okay.
You and I have talked. This pisses me off. But you and I have talked for 15 years. And I'm over here grinding, and this is how it feels at least. I'm over here just grinding it out. And by all means, we've had success. When I met you in 2011, I was doing $350,000 in mowing and shrub trimming. And today,
I feel like I should have 20% of your business just for what you're about to say.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. I'm not that generous. I'm generous, but not that generous. But no, today it's 10 million plus in those types of services between executive lawn care and chores.
But everything's like 25 or something, isn't it?
Pushing 30. Yeah. About 30. Yeah. About 30. 30 million in a nutshell. Scoop Soldiers is about half of the $30 million overall businesses that we operate. Mowing is a huge chunk of that. Fertilization, bush and bed, and pest control are the next main ones. And other than that, that's it. That's pretty much all of our revenues. But yeah, we were 300,000, went to 10 million. Thank you. You've been a huge
I
help
hope
in
someday
that.
this friendship pays off for me, but so far it's been nothing but disappointment.
Well, I know. Nothing but disappointment. Ben told you to say that.
I came up with that on my own.
Do what?
I came up with that on my own. I've been feeling that for a decade.
No, actually, that would make sense. Now that I think about it, what do I bring to this? Let me think. I at least have to make you laugh and realize, holy shit, this is my next biggest competitor. I'm going to be good. I can keep on growing. But that leads to the next question. To your question.
Yeah.
For years upon years, you've been telling me as I'm over here grinding it, 4, 6, 8% of my revenues towards marketing, and then I have dinner with you, and you're like, we haven't even marketed in like 4 years. I really need to get on that.
Been like 10.
But I know, I know, but you've been saying this for 10 years.
Okay, yeah.
So back then
I have been saying
4.
a lot of things.
And you're like, and you'd be like, we don't even market, and we just grow internally by a few $1 million a year, and And so, what about that? Honestly, Jonathan, I don't know. If I knew, I've mimicked as much as I possibly could. But how the hell you have maintained and continued to grow by millions a year in revenue? Some years I know you've gone downwards and some have been up. Labor is as much of a challenge for you guys in that.
Yep.
But the only thing, all that said, because that's how I've heard it the last 12, 13, 14, 15 years, is I have these big percentages, big focuses of my budget on marketing, and you would agree that you should be doing that. You should be spending between 4 and 8% of your revenues on marketing.
I'd love to get my budget to at least $1 million a year.
Exactly.
That's why
But I've never fully. Here's the only hypothesis I have to answer your long-winded answer to your question. The only hypothesis I have is the marked trucks in yellow.
Okay.
And the longevity of the marked trucks in yellow being associated with lawn mowing and the things that go along with lawn mowing. Whereas in that same time period, I have had 3 different names because of my entrepreneurial journey.
I would cite this as one of your biggest reasons.
I agree.
Yep.
I've had 3 different names in the same time period since 2011. Emerald Lawn Care or some version of it. Then Weed Extinguishers for 3.5 years. And for the last 6 years, Chorby. And Chorby has been your chores, our passion. It doesn't say a single thing about lawn mowing. It doesn't say a single thing. That was by design. It wasn't the correct move in hindsight. That is why Chorby in 2026 will be Chorby Lawn and Pests for weed and pest-free lawns. It'll be that simple. And that'll be what we do. But the other thing is again, you have this army of mowing trucks. I don't know how many, 100, a lot.
Not mowing
army.
trucks. We don't mow that many lawns.
Maybe not.
You mean our
entire
trucks?
fleet
Yeah, for
is
all the different
100.
services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your entire fleet.
Mowing's only like
that is a
$5 million.
billboard, and it's not like it's a billboard since 2015 or a billboard since 2018. That has been a billboard since I remember being 20 years old in 2004 and singing. And I know that's right.
2004?
2005, 2006. But I
2007, we got serious about that look.
And I remember around 2007, 2008 is when I started building from 10 clients up in 2007. And I even picked up the phone and called City Turf's office and said, I need to buy one of those trucks. Like, I like your setup. How do I buy one of those? They had no clue how to answer that. Nothing came of it. But that's why I remember somewhere in 2006.
That would have been time. 7 is when we got serious. That's when I did I was in the middle of working that business every day on marketing in 7 or 8, whatever. And that's when we came up with the Chester concept. That's when he went on the trucks.
But I'll also say this. I'm ambitious. That's, you joked about, I'll be self-deprecating. I'm ambitious, period. In other words, you are passionate and extremely skilled as an entrepreneur in marketing. That's the thing you love. You talk about it. You love marketing and you love technology.
Yeah, I do.
I used to think I loved marketing.
Marketing's frustrating.
Marketing's really frustrating.
And it's
and technology, don't even get me started. I'm by no means am I any brilliance there. And so not to be overly self-deprecating, but in some ways it's just the difference between your skill sets and mine.
Interesting. What do you think you guys are better at than us?
Going into new services? I have an awesome team. I don't know about your team.
Yeah.
You've always talked highly of Philip. I don't know anybody beyond Philip in terms of their name.
Yeah.
But I really am blessed with the team. Whether it be Cynthia or whether it be Jeremy or whether it be Ben or whether it be Michaela or whether it be Michael McCord, and I'm going to leave people out, but whether it be just the people that are almost always behind the scenes, I believe that we can stack up to anybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's the key to the business. Have you ever done an analysis on the longevity of your team?
Yes, but not probably overly scientific, partially because I can do enough in my head. This may sound stupid, but tell me if it does. I can do enough in my head. I think that's what Ben was recommending, by the way, is if you just tell me, hey, that sounds stupid. But I can do enough of that in my head to quickly figure out it's really good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I have done the analysis years and years ago. It's been a long time because it hadn't been an issue, so it's not something I look at too much. But years and years ago, it might have been 2017, 2018, I looked at it specifically for lawn techs.
Okay.
And I had at the time, I think maybe 4 trucks doing fertilization. And so you got 1 tech for each truck. And I felt like we had high turnover there. We were going through a season of some turnover. And when I went back and looked at every technician that we ever had, I think this is what you mean, looked at every technician we had ever had in that role and how many we still had and why they left, and the ones that left, whether they got fired or whether they got coached up and or whatever. And it was actually a pretty impressive number. I don't remember what it was, but our turnover wasn't that bad.
That's great. I think that's an indicator as to the quality of an organization.
I agree with
you.
And
assuming you're not afraid to fire people and you're carrying a bunch of losers. But
agreed. And I think
if you get rid of people that shouldn't be on the team and you have a lot of longevity,
we aren't afraid to fire people.
Yeah.
And it's not just me. There's people on my team that have definitely.
Do you fire people yourself these days?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I need to, when it's necessary for me to, if I've got relationship with that person, even if they're not a direct report, I'll oftentimes, especially if it's my decision.
Yeah.
And usually it is.
So I kind of asked you what you guys are better at, and you gave a answer that's wrong. Oh no. Oh, I thought you gave an answer. You went into more services. Maybe that was a different question.
That was.
I was going to say because that's
I was being a smart ass.
That is a wrong.
No.
Bad answer.
That is the opposite.
Okay, so you're thinking your team. Yeah.
Like I say, when I look at my team, that's what gives me confidence.
What else comes to mind?
Moving in the right direction.
Think you guys are really good at? If you were advising another company, you say this is a difference maker.
And again, I'm. This is one of those things like, we might get 500 to 1,000 views per video, and that's up. Actually, it's probably about 1,000 views per video. I'm talking Chorby here.
And this is
soldiers. This is something I think we do good. This is to answer your question. Another piece we've done good. White Picket Team, which handles bookkeeping for us, but also handles media for us. And white picket team in that media, the focus we've put into that, the team and the systems and the processes we've built to be able to, whether it be Chorby or Scoop Soldiers, create content, get buy-in from team members. It's not just me creating content. It's not just one other person, getting on the camera and promoting the business. It's a team thing. It's lots of people, whether it be over at Scoop Soldiers or whether it be at Chorby. This is something that I'm really confident is going to pay off. By no means are we getting, in some cases we're getting 100,000 plus views on TikTok and such. But the point is we're not getting famous today.
Yeah.
But it still has enormous power, and we have gotten really good and a lot of buy-in on our team members. Like literally guys that started out 7 years ago as a scooper, and now they're literally traveling the country.
I'm with you.
Telling the story and being a part of telling the story of Scoop Soldiers on the Scoop Soldiers side. And then on the flip side, the same with Chorby. So I really feel like where I think we have an advantage on City Turf, even though it can change in a matter of a year, you're working on this now actually, so you'll be competing with me pretty good here. I think we've got a leg up on the media side of things. We were just talking about getting into your community through media, through TV, media, social, so on and so forth. We've been doing that for 2+ years.
And you think you're really good at it, or you think it's actually moving the needle?
I think that it's going to move the needle, and that because we are doing it, we are getting better and better at it every single day. Are we so great at it? Well, we're not famous, so I don't know yet, but
you only need to be famous in your little market.
Exactly. And so are we there? No, we're not there.
But you feel pretty optimistic.
I feel very optimistic.
Yeah. No, I think it's very smart that you're doing this.
Yeah. Check out Chorby. Go, if anybody's watching, go check out Chorby socials on whatever.
Chorby with a C.
Yes, Chorby with a C, Chorbie. But check out Chorby on whatever platform you're on. Check out Scoop Soldiers on whatever platform you're on, and you'll see very consistent and steady at a level that I don't know many that are doing. Even Mike Andes. Mike Andes is killing it. He is an inspiration on basically every level, his work ethic and his genius. By the way, I would put him, again, he was a medical school guy.
He just got married.
I did.
His career's over.
I don't think so.
He's gonna have to cut his hours by like 30%.
Maybe. I bet you she understands.
I'm just teasing.
But Andes is somebody that I very much so. He's very intelligent, very smart, and watching him do what he's done is awesome. But he doesn't. If you go and you look at Augusta, at least I haven't looked in like the last year. He may be changing this, but if you look at Augusta in terms of the client-facing brand, they haven't done tons. It was all more of his franchise development is what I would call it.
Meaning that he's not creating content for Miss Smith. He's creating content for franchisees.
At least as of a few years ago. I don't know if that's changed because I haven't followed.
I think from a leverage point, if you could only create it for one, he's creating it for the right market.
I agree with you.
Because he's got Copilot, he's got his website business, he's got all these assets that need that promotion. So,
and in my eyes, for us, that's more of the Millionaire.
It would need such a thing for City Turf. It'd be for the local Miss Smith.
But for the local Miss Smith, that's what you need with City Turf. And that's how I view Chorby. And honestly, that's how I view Scoop Soldiers content. Pet Waste Millionaire is more franchise development. It's more going to the industry.
What would you say is the most embarrassing thing about your business that you haven't fixed?
I don't know if you mean fixed. We're literally restructuring.
Well, if you're embarrassed by something,
restructuring the entire thing.
You would want to fix
it. Here's what I'm embarrassed by.
Okay.
As far as but yeah, I'm fixing it. So yes, I'm restructuring it. So I launched Chorby in June of 2019. That's 6 years ago as we sit here.
Okay.
The vision of Chorby was your chores, our passion.
Yep. We've talked about this.
Conveniently add value and comfort to your property. We've talked about this many times. I wanted to do all different verticals of home services, from garage door repair, compete with Tommy Mello, all the way to lawn care and competing with City Turf and pest control and everything in between you could possibly imagine.
Yep.
And fast forward to today, that was launched. I took my fertilization weed control business that did mowing also in 2019.
That was the weed company, right?
Weed extinguishers, yeah.
Weed extinguishers.
We were doing about $6 million. Fast forward 6 years. I might miss a few, but I have gone into junk removal and gotten out of it. I have gone into handyman services and gotten out of it. I have gone into pool services and just literally last week sold it. That one I actually got to sell. That's the only one I was able to sell. The rest of them I had to just shut down. Tree and shrub care, both the care and the big arborological. I had a $120,000 chipper truck and chipper rig. Just got rid of that thing, even though I left tree trimming a year ago. So the biggest mistake or the biggest error thing messed up is that in 6 years and the entire launch of Chorby, I find myself right now exactly where I was when I launched Chorby, back at the exact same 3 verticals: lawn mowing, fertilization, weed control, and pest control. I'm in the exact same place.
Yep.
In fact, I'm farther behind because weed extinguishers did sprinklers too. I got out of sprinklers.
Yep.
And so on one hand, I'm a little embarrassed by that. It's definitely, I'm 40 years old, realizing I'm not invincible and not gonna live forever. And I'm looking, in one hand, I'm really successful by most measures. And on the other hand, Chorby in the last 6 years, it's like
Flat.
What? Same revenues, by the way, too. I'm basically
Yeah.
right there.
Why do you think that happened?
Oh, I mean, I've listened to your content, and it's you hit the nail on the head. And I know I'm not the only one you talk to that has attempted different versions of what I'm doing.
Everybody does it, but
And
well, I want to hear you. I'm very well, you know, I
really
was negative
complicated.
on it.
It gets
but
really complicated real fast. It gets really expensive really fast.
your message is watered down. You're trying to educate the market on all the different things
all
you
of
can
that.
do.
Every bit of that.
You're
But
distracted. Your team's distracted. You have to have lots of different equipment, lots of different people, hard to train.
it gets everything you just said. I can't say it any better. I mean, think about this. Is what I realized with my administrative team. The front lines. They're answering calls. I'm in the mowing business. They're great team, awesome. They understand the mowing business. Then I say, you know, March of 2023, hey, we're going to go into plumbing.
Yep.
And you got to teach them. And here's the thing. Just because I hired a responsible master plumber that I very much so believed in, he don't know how to teach them how to be in residential plumbing.
Yep.
That was an expensive lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I brought it up because it's so tempting.
It's so tempting. It's not tempting for me
exciting.
anymore, but it cost me $1 million.
When you have like $6 million in the account, your personal account, you're bored. I'm gonna have to talk you off the ledge again.
You will, because and sadly, I've never even had 7 figures because I spend it as fast as I get it.
Yeah.
Not on, well, sometimes on stupid stuff too.
And putting back in. Yeah.
But I oftentimes, okay, I'm going to invest this in plumbing. I'm going to invest this in tree trimming, and these are dreams of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to when I was 20 years old and mowing lawns. I never wanted to just mow lawns. I always had an interest in other business. Yeah. And I love home services. To your point, you were talking about how you understand you're in home services. I agree. I'm the same way. The lesson I've learned the last 6 years is I love home services. That's great. But it doesn't mean I need to be in a plumbing business. I don't need to be in a plumbing business. A lot of what I learned the last 6 years was ego.
Yeah. I just am arguing that you're wired this way and you love this, and there will come a day where the lesson will fade and you'll have more time and money than you have today, and you'll be tempted.
You're
again.
right. And I have to have,
That's
whether it be Jeremy or Ben behind the camera here, or whether it be you, I have to have people that remind me.
You didn't listen to me the first time.
You didn't fully tell me the first time.
I do.
You didn't. No.
I do like to let people explore and learn their own lessons.
Yes. You are definitely somebody, because I know what you mean. I knew what you thought. You didn't have.
I don't think
say
I
it.
hid it. I just didn't say no. It's your business.
No, you're excited.
But I told you my concerns.
I knew you're.
Yeah, but yeah. But I also, I was concerned for you. I've said that.
No,
but,
you have.
But at the same time,
you wanted to see if it could work too.
No, because that sounds like I just wanted to burn your money.
No,
and see how it worked out.
but no. What I mean is in theory, like it would have been in your head. You would have been like, I'm not saying you would have wanted. And in theory, there was a part of you that was like, wow, if that could happen.
It's an exciting vision. 100% buy into exciting vision. And then the other side of that is that, what does the buyer want? The buyer wants one company to solve all the problems when they love the company. Now, they don't actually act that way. If you look at how they buy, they still tend to buy from individual companies. Right. So the dream of the buyer is, could I find one company to solve all my problems? So, it's definitely a concept that sounds good. And as an entrepreneur, I could get super excited about it. And then when you tell me, we've hit this amount of revenue this fast, like, oh, geez, that's cool. It can get my brain thinking because I'm competitive. But I just, having been through because I played trying to figure out my career. Because when I was 23, my first software thing didn't work. So then I got stuck trying to figure out what I was going to do and how was I going to get back to software. So I did lots and lots of stuff as well, trying to figure it out. And I like the different things. So it resonates with me. I've just had enough pain, like you've now experienced, that this isn't how you create a lot of wealth.
Let me ask you this opinion, because yeah, you mentioned even in one recent video that I watched on 5 for 50, you're talking about how most people make their money in one thing, and it's usually the thing they started with. In some capacity.
General. Depends. Like there's also a stat that your third business is the one that makes it big. So, but like it doesn't necessarily. It doesn't have to be the first thing. But there's some business that you've had some amount of longevity, and that's the place you create your wealth.
So tacking on to something, we were kind of talking about this at dinner a few weeks ago. You mentioned, my need for focus. I've got right now, my current plans will be that I will, a year from now, have basically 3 7-figure businesses, separate businesses, and then a 4th 8-figure business. This is where I think you still have opinions that I'm somewhat not going entirely with, and that is that you still think that is actually too much in some capacity. Is that fair to say? In other words, if you were me, you'd be looking at actually whittling that down to even less businesses.
That's tough, because you're talking about the lawn care. We'll just use lawn care. You're talking about Chorby.
I'll spin off the mowing of Chorby. So
Executive.
Scoop Soldiers, Executive Lawn Care, and soon to be, I don't even know if I want to tell you the name yet. No, I'm kidding. Mowing Best will be the other.
Okay, so that's the spin out of Chorby.
Spin out of Chorby Mowing.
Okay.
So I listen to you and I think to myself, Jonathan thinks that 4 businesses, all very profitable, especially as I restructure them, all very profitable, all self-ran by and large. That's the key too.
I don't know if I have a super strong opinion on this, because you are running like businesses, and you have partners, and you have a team, and
the team is the key in that. That's how I know I'm.
And there's no real way to combine these businesses together because of different ownership structures and such, in my opinion. So
even if I, and there's opportunity to change that. It is what it is. But
yeah, I don't. If you were to be doing a plumbing company and another one, I think I'd have a stronger opinion. I don't know. It's a tough one. What's Chorby going to do? Just fertilization,
Chorby
weed control?
Will do fertilization, weed control, and pest control. Chorby Lawn and Pest. Think of it as another Gecko Green, another Grow Green, the local businesses around here that you've watched grow. It's literally that. In other words, I'm not trying to reinvent anything. I'm just mimicking. Chorby's Lawn and Pest.
I don't know. I'll wait to give an opinion until I see what happens. Then I can, in hindsight, tell you were.
Here's my answer to it.
I think it's okay.
I have a team.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben runs Executive Lawn Care. I'm going to have a team that is very senior. My 2 main guys that are going to be running Mowing Best have both been with me 11 and 8 years, respectively. And then Chorby being Cynthia, who's been with me almost 10 years. And then, of course, Scoop Soldiers is already ran basically by Michaela. So I have these COOs that are essentially operating the way Philip operates City Turf, 4 different types.
I'm not really bothered by it, because I think you could run it like and this is a vision that I get excited about that I don't know if I'll ever do, but I have this, and this was my idea when we sold Service All Pies, so it's been on my mind for 6 years, and it was to build, I know the people I would go grab for this, but imagine, we've kind of talked about this before, but kind of imagine a private equity structure where at the private equity level, you've got operations, finance, marketing, data,
This is your 5 things?
recruiting, and then you go acquire, that's a different concept.
Okay,
then you go acquire different companies in the green industry, in the adjacent, like so tree, pest, pool, maybe pool, I don't know, I'm not sure. You acquire some of these companies, and then this group supports them.
Yeah.
So in other words, you've acquired a bunch of companies that call them $3 million businesses. They don't have enough revenue to build out marketing or recruiting as in-house functions or finance or any of these things. And so your top level group supports them. And then when any one of those brands gets big enough, like you get to a City Turf, you build those functions internally inside that brand. That is a model that I would love to do. And I don't think it's too much.
You have got to learn more about what these 2 guys behind the cameras here are doing with White Picket Team, because what you just described is literally what White Picket Team,
I think,
basically got a foundation for. It's what I'm doing. I don't have the resources to fully do it as you just described it.
Yeah.
But it's essentially what you just described. Is that fair to say, Ben? You would agree?
Yeah, I don't really have a concern with that. I think there's pros and cons to that. I think theories. I think it's a negative to run that model forever when a brand gets big. When a brand gets big, you should let that brand own those functions.
That's literally what we're dealing with Scoop Soldiers right now. Like at what point? Now, Scoop Soldiers in a lot of ways still needs some white picket aspects, simply because white picket is where we can actually divvy up the talent to where 20% of that person can work at Chorby, so it works. But you're exactly right. We're already seeing and have seen with Scoop Soldiers, as it grows, there are functions that white picket team no longer actually has to do. They can do it themselves. Your theory.
Well, if you guys were to build out additional brands, white picket might have to do it again because it needs to support the brand.
Well, and it does it in a lot of cases. White picket does things for Chorby that Scoop Soldiers has outgrown. It does it itself. Kind of, just as you're talking about.
So my theory is that's not too complicated of a model. Now, where it might get a little complicated is if you're varying the type of brands that are owned. So as an example, you're in tree and lawn and pest. To me, those are all very adjacent. But now if you jump over to something like you're investing in med spa type stuff, or you're investing in maybe even HVAC, because it's a different model than the recurring model, that may be a stretch that the business wouldn't be ready for until that business is quite big. So as an example, I'd probably want to, making this up, but I'd probably want to build my underlying brands. I would want all the brands to be roughly the same, and I'd probably want to build that to $50 million before I'd ever even consider expanding into a different brand. That's a made-up number, but that gives an idea of the scale.
You are at my experience the last 6 years, good and bad, because there's elements of good in what's come of white picket in that, is actually very much so goes in favor of your hypothesis, 100%. We were never even close to big enough with Chorby to do what I envisioned. You know, the other piece that I realized the last few months is and by the way, as much as it's maybe a little bit of an ego, a thump to my ego, which is necessary at times anyways, I'm actually really excited about simplification. I'm really excited. Things have gotten so complicated within our business from 2019 to 2024. It just wasn't even fun. And I'm excited about the simplicity.
That makes perfect sense.
But there was something I was going to say to that. The realization I had with Chorby is I'm ambitious. I've always been very ambitious, but I'm also not a workaholic. Like, the whole reason that I want to be in business and have fun is so that I can travel and so that I can have freedom. And so I'm not somebody who is I never have, and I don't plan to ever work 100-hour weeks. And the Chorby vision and what I was willing to do were two very different. They were off kilter, and I didn't realize it literally for 6 years. I didn't realize it. Because again, look at, we were talking about the success of Mike Andes and how much his hustle and his work ethic and whatnot goes into that, and all these different. That's what it takes to do what he's 100%. Doing. When I look at what it's going to take to build Chorby in 2019, if I'd have looked at that more pragmatically and less from a standpoint of maybe ego and this grandiose idea, had I been more pragmatic to say, EJ, are you willing to be the CEO of a business that's going to require 100 hours a week of your time to actually execute Chorby? This is the realization I had. It's going to take 100 hours a week of your time. You're going to have to go into technology and learn really painfully about all these things. I already know I'm dyslexic. I'm not going to any like Ivy League schools, and so I'm going to have an even bigger.
But there's not a correlation between Ivy League school and entrepreneurial.
But the point is, I am going to have to really try really hard to make sure that I learn about technology and that I learn, and that is going to stretch me in ways that, in hindsight, I was never willing to actually be stretched. And I use Mike Andes as that analogy because he's the kind of guy that he will sleep at the office. He will do anything it takes. That was never me. It was never me. And that's what I think also. I think Chorby, in theory, it's still kind of giving the middle finger to the traditional way of business, whether you think of good to great or simplicity and niche. But Amazon did it. And it made Jeff Bezos one of the wealthiest people in the world. In other words, he went against the grain. He went into everything.
Yeah, but that's not the same. He raised insane amounts of capital. He was in a totally different growth industry. The opportunity was completely different. And he immediately scaled up an incredibly intelligent team around him.
And he also lost money for 15 years.
And that's the story of most software companies.
I was never willing to do any of those things. I was never willing even to grow and raise the money, because that was the other piece. Like, I was never willing to actually give up equity and go and raise the money and probably give up control, because to probably get to where I needed to go, I was going to have to give up control on things, because I just don't know what I don't know. And so all of these things, it came to the realization the last 3-4 months, Jormy was never going to actually work because I was never going to work the 100-hour weeks that it was going to take to do it.
So are you 40 or turning 40?
I'm 40 and a half. Somebody made fun of me for saying that the other day.
You want to hang on to 40 as long as you can.
Hang on to
41. So you're 60. What do you want now? Like what will be a life at 60 or an outcome no, let's do 50, nearer term. At 50, what will your life look like where you won't feel like you compromised and you'll be happy?
Well, we've talked so much today. I can't remember if you said it in this video or the other one, but you mentioned it pretty good. You know, my family, my kids, I love the idea of them. I used to like the idea of building a wealth and building a trust fund, so to speak, for my kids. At 40, I don't feel that way anymore.
Okay.
I just want my kids to make it on their own, as you suggested earlier.
Yeah.
I want that. I want them to be successful. I want to help make them successful in their own. I don't think it's healthy, frankly, to leave your children gobs of money. That's something I've shifted from the time I was 35 to the time I was 40.
Okay.
So when I think of 50, a lot of the things you mentioned earlier, am I helping people? Is my family and other relationships, and that goes for now, but even then too. But also when I'm 50, generosity. A mutual friend of ours that now works for me, that worked for worked for Service Autopilot, actually challenged me on this in a very interesting question. Almost brought me to tears. Yes, almost brought me to tears the other day. It was just a one-on-one virtual with he and I, first one. And he's got so much potential, that guy. And we had a really good conversation. We related because we both spent 7 years in Amway and learned a lot. And I did too. That's a lot of my background, granted 20 years ago. So we very much so connected on that. Well, he asked me this question. He goes, well, what makes you keep going? And it actually stumped me. And it actually frustrated me because it stumped me. Because it's like, why? Why do I keep, like, I don't have to. I mean, I have a really good life and a lot of freedom. But at the end of the day, that weekend, this is literally 2 weeks ago, at that weekend, I was praying about it. I'm a Christian, and I was thinking about this, and I was like, I was reminded, I keep going for generosity. Like, I believe that part of an entrepreneur's job is to obviously leave things better than they left them in every way. And it's not just about making money, it's also about generosity. So when I think back to 50, I'll use that one term, generosity. I want to inspire people into entrepreneurship, but I also want to inspire people through generosity. And the challenge in that is you should generally give quietly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it becomes unhealthy.
I mean,
by and large.
Yeah, I tend to subscribe to that belief. Yeah.
But at the same time, how do you encourage and inspire people to be generous themselves? So finding that balance. But nonetheless, as I think of 50 and going back to Alex's challenge, that really made me think for a second, because I'm thinking like, well, gosh, I know I'm not just doing this to make more money, but what are the other reasons? And at the end of the day, I felt led to believe generosity. I've always believed from an early age, from my early 20s, that generosity is important. You can't, if you go and make $100 million or $50 million or $10 million or $1 billion, you're going to probably, your life's not going to change all that much. You may or may, you're going to bring with you, I'm saying this so wrong, you're going to bring with you all of your baggage still.
Sure.
You're either going, it's not going to create happiness in itself, period. Money does not by itself. Money does not.
But it helps.
But it does help. But what I believe in my 20 years of being focused on some element of generosity is that is what keeps you balanced.
What's something, you gave Alexander as an example, what's something you have learned from a team member that's been transformational?
No, that was probably the most recent one.
Yeah, give me a different one.
No. My longest and best friend here, Jeremy Langlitz, has always been, who's the producer of this, as you know, and got to spend time with him at lunch. But Jeremy has always been somebody that I can learn from. I joke that he's the good angel on this shoulder over here.
That's right, you did. We were talking about Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Jeremy, I learn from Jeremy on a regular basis.
What's something that you've learned that others could apply to business that might help them?
You do not have to be loud, and I'm loud. Jeremy is not loud, but he still can speak a lot and speak power in a subtle way, and I'm not always that great at that. So
Sure.
it might have been a crap, but that's
No, it's good. I mean, there's different ways. I mean, I think it's an important point, because there's a lot of people that question if they have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, because they look at somebody else that might be more loud or extroverted or boisterous, and they see success there and think, I need to mimic that. And you could run and own things in every different style. You can sell in every single style.
Every style. There is no one specific personality or type or whatever. I truly believe, and that's why the mission statement of Pet Waste Millionaire is inspire entrepreneurship, because I believe that it's just a matter of taking action.
What's something he's been telling you for years that you are not listening to?
I mean, I probably do ignore him. I probably ignore him more than I should. What is something Jeremy's been telling me for years? Ben?
Okay, yeah, it's the theme. Stop adding service lines.
Said that though. In fact, if anything, he's an enabler. Him and Cynthia both are enablers when it comes to that.
I like a challenge.
All right, you're starting over. You can only do one service. Absolute simplification. You can only pick one service and build a business around it. I think I know what you're going to say. What do you do?
Pet waste removal.
Yeah. What's number two?
It depends, and I've thought of this. The number two is even though I literally just sold it last week, pools.
Really?
But hold on, there's a caveat to that. Only if, this is the question, are you looking to build a big business, or are you looking to build a simple business that you can own or operate for the rest of your life, or the better part of the rest of your life? That's a key question.
Just two totally different things.
Two totally different things. If you're looking to build a big business, you do not go into pools. That's my opinion. But the reason it's number two, if I'm starting over today, if I'm 21 years old and I don't want to have a bunch of employees and I don't want to be a CEO or whatever, and I don't want any of that. I want to make 80 to 140 grand a year running around, because I don't want a cubicle. I don't want to be in a cubicle, and I want to do my thing. I want to be done by 3.
Pools. Running a solo route. You can make. And then building up additional accounts and selling it. Would that be part of your revenue?
Absolutely would be. You know the business enough. It doesn't surprise me that you do. That's exactly what I would do. I would have 60 to 80 pools. Well, the beginning of the year, I'd start with 60 pools.
Okay.
I would build that up to 70, 75 pools. Some pool technicians will tell you can't get 75 done if you're dense enough and you work 12-hour days. You can. And then you only do that for a season at a time, because you start every year with 60 pools, you build it up to 80. You sell your least quality, your least out there, whatever, however you choose.
Yep.
You're 20. Well, you can sell pool routes for an annual year revenue, unlike mowing.
Yep.
So 20 pools, you sell 20 pools a year, you're making 40 grand a year at the end of the year, not including your day job, cleaning pools. And of course, doing the repairs and all those things. And here's the thing. It's not like you have hundreds of clients. You have to keep 65 people
on the phone.
And you run it on the phone and in your truck, and it can be very simple. You've got to know your costs. You got to be a good business person in managing your costs and managing your time and taking care of your business. But that could work for somebody who doesn't want to have. And so I still would put pet waste removal ahead of that, because 150 customers of poop scooping can provide you that same thing.
Yep.
And you don't have any of the equipment. The only problem is, the reason I kind of like pools is I don't like the heat. I don't really like manual labor either. I'm not afraid of it, but I don't
really like
it.
work.
I don't like work,
like
period.
Running a business.
I don't. I
like dealing with people.
So I like the idea of pools.
It's a miracle you've been successful.
It is actually an absolute miracle. It goes back to, I'll say, it goes back to the Lord blessed me. No, truly, it's blessing.
He's drug you along.
He did, absolutely. Yeah. You can fall in if you're in the pool business. You can just be cleaning pools and you're hot and you're uncomfortable. And
right.
You're,
You've said that to me before.
And so that's the other reason if I was having to do the work, it would be poop scooping because of the simplicity in it. Pools, if I wasn't going to build a big business, I'd do pools because...
So now you can only do one service and you want to build a really big business that's super valuable.
I would still say pet waste.
Okay.
But pet waste, and that's because that's
you did it.
I did it and I understand it and I love it.
You can't do that. Don't pick that one. Pick a different one.
I have to pick a different one. Vert, number 2.
Okay.
Interesting.
Great business.
I had a lead, a franchisee lead, really sharp gal, young, in her 20s. She used a series of questions to Chat GPT and asked it some specific questions. Like she wanted home services. She kind of knew home services. She started looking for businesses. She determined she wanted home services, reoccurring, simplest, low regulatory, all these different pieces. And Chat GPT spit out, number 1, pet waste removal. This is what she told me. Number 2, fertilization weed control. And I think it had to do with franchises as well.
I see.
But nonetheless, I actually think Chat GPT got it dead on. It's creepy how accurate that thing is. But those are the 2, in my opinion. Fertilization weed control, I like it a little more than pest because it's 8 apps a year instead of 4.
Yeah.
Similar numbers, economics, but I also personally like lawn care far better. This is me personally. Bugs don't excite me.
Yeah, I like lawn care too. I don't, but what of the services you left that Chorby got out of, which service do you think had the most potential?
Plumbing. It's also the one that cost me the most.
Yeah.
And maybe, actually, the 2 that cost me the most, plumbing and tree trimming.
Yeah.
And those 2 probably cost me the most getting in and getting out of. They also probably have the most, I would think they have the most opportunity.
I think tree trimming has a tremendous amount. A lot of people complain about the margins, but I'm not really clear on what the margin is, actually.
It's like
I think
mowing.
they do pretty good.
It's like mowing, I think.
Okay,
There's a lot of people doing it that are low ballers, knocking on your door, can I trim your trees? And they're low
tree trimming
ballers.
guys make money.
They do.
Yeah, and I know a bunch of them. But they all say the
complicated
same
and
thing. They all love the health side better, which is why
The health side is far
why we only did the health side at City.
And I'm not, there's a lot of problems, both with plumbing, as I mentioned these 2, both with plumbing and with tree trimming. The tree trimming, being a climber is some of the riskiest stuff in landscaping.
Yeah.
Getting up there.
Highest insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Christmas lights, I hated Christmas lights for every reason. I don't understand the appeal to Christmas lights. The way you just said that, you're like, you don't
Tested it
necessarily.
last year.
Did you really?
Yeah, we're doing them this year too.
We got out of them, and that's the thing I would say is in the bottom of my list.
And that was a fear of safety.
Safety is the thing that I would say is a lot of it, but also, I mean, if you can get a 20% conversion rate, it takes a lot of work to get a quote together, and then you get a 20% conversion rate because everybody thinks that it should be $300 when it's $2,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to mention it, and I hate to say this because we were talking earlier, and I don't necessarily, but it's extremely saturated, I think.
It's a busy business. A lot of people are in it. Yeah. We've tested it for very specific reasons, but I've got a bunch of friends that make really good money at it and love it. They swear by it.
I mean, there's franchise opportunities that sell it as a tackle and add-on.
I have very mixed feelings on it. I think our team in general has very mixed feelings on it in the sense that it's one more thing, but man, it does solve for a labor problem.
Okay, I was going to say, why did y'all do Christmas lights? It was labor, it was timing. Who's doing them? Who's doing this Christmas lights?
I don't know.
But when you say the labor, like you're trying to solve
our team members,
your H2B guys?
No,
It's not them.
Yeah, we've got more and more. We got, as we try to.
Okay, so it's guys that are mowing and doing bush and bed,
or irrigation, or any of these services.
So it's the seasonality of things for your full-time team.
Yep. Which also might make it too difficult for us to build a really big Christmas light business anyway, because as that business gets bigger, you've got to start pushing the lights more and more forward.
Exactly.
And our teams aren't going to be rolling off of that seasonal work.
Yeah.
And so who knows if this is really going to work out, but.
Are your lawn care guys at City Turf, the fertilization technicians, they're year round, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a week off, they're year round. They're 52 weeks out of the year, they're employed.
Yeah.
A lot of seasons, there's, even in the South, I've learned that a lot of lawn care businesses are not year round like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to build business. I know
I hate the seasonality.
I don't know how you build a great business or even want to own a business that you constantly have to lay off your people. It's a big part of the mowing problem without H-2B visa.
I agree.
They're just terrible businesses.
Yeah. Mowing though, I feel like you contradict yourself sometimes with mowing, which makes sense because you're double-minded on it. Yeah, I do the same thing, but like, because you
it's a love-hate relationship.
You have a love-hate with it. I still feel like there's still more. I mean, you mentioned, you're asking me number one. Mowing is still probably in the top 5 because of its simplicity.
It's a labor problem. You can actually still make money in this business,
but poop scooping is a labor problem. Everything's a labor problem. Tree trimming is a labor problem.
Mowing's a different kind of a labor problem.
Plumbing's a labor problem.
It's all a labor problem. Hiring a marketing team's a labor problem. Hiring everybody, it's all a labor problem. But mowing is a different level to me, labor problem.
it's
I mean, if I'm just building a crew or two, it's a pain in the butt, but it's not that hard.
right.
If you're gonna build a 10, like my belief is if you're gonna be in something, go big with it. Otherwise, why? Unless you just want to create that lifestyle. Unless you just want simple's the best word, lifestyle, simple business, then keep it smaller and make it ridiculously profitable. And I think that's fantastic. But for me, if you're gonna bother doing it, it needs to be big.
What is big to you? $1 million?
Okay starts at 10 million.
Okay. So that's why I asked in the question. I want to say that again. I know this is on your podcast, but still, what is big to you? And so that's perspective. 10 million or under isn't really big to you.
No.
Like that when you're saying when you go big or don't, you're not saying I want a $5 million business and that's what
I think 5 million is a great business. I'm not putting anybody down.
I know you're
an
not,
idea down.
But the difference though is it's perspective.
5 million is just as hard as 10. So why would you want to be 5?
There you go.
And it's worse actually.
And I would
5
guess
million is worse than 10.
I would agree with that. Would you say that it keeps going that way? 50 is better
No, I don't know. I haven't been far enough.
You haven't got, yeah.
But I mean, if I was at 100,
I mean, that's why
I don't
private
perceive-
equity
I don't
values
perceive-
businesses at scale so
I don't
much
perceive
better.
100 to be worse than 10 or anything like that. I think you just have different problems. I've been in the rooms with 100, $200 million businesses. And I'll give you an example without giving away too many service autopilot numbers. Of course, we are definitely past the 10 million number, of course. But I rolled into a world where I'm sitting in a room at a $200 million level. And one of the interesting things to me was I thought I would learn and see things that I hadn't yet experienced, only having grown businesses into the tens of millions. Yeah. And I pretty much, after about a year, concluded I don't see anything really that different other than we're just talking about different size numbers.
Yeah.
But there's not some magical like, wow idea. I didn't know how this works in business. I didn't know you ran it this way. So I think once you get to that, and again, you have to keep in mind, I've only personally been so far, but I think once you get to that 10 or $20 million business, if you're running a really well-organized business with a leader, the beginnings of a really good leadership team with structure, like we'll use the EOS because people know the EOS model or
I
something
sent
of
that
that
video
sort.
to my team that you were talking about. We've been rebuilding. We knew what it was, but we've been reintroducing it to our
Basically, you have methodologies, whether it be an Agile and Scrum methodology, whether it be an EOS, whether it be what Vern Harnish teaches, which what he used to call Rockefeller habits. I don't know what he calls it. I think maybe it's scaling up now. Just some methodology that brings organization to the team and a communication structure to the team. Once you start getting a lot of those foundational things in place, it's more and more of the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I just haven't seen this, wow, this is so much different. And so if you're running a $30 million company versus $100 million, I don't perceive it to be, based on my limited experience, that much different as long as you're scaling up the people accordingly. If you're not scaling the people accordingly, it's misery.
out.
But that's the exact same story from $1 million to 3. It's the exact same story from 0 to $1 million. It's all about, as the business gets bigger, are you still hanging on to people that don't have the experience to run a $5 or $10 million business if they're not willing to grow into that skill? Because some people can and some people won't. And so it really just comes down to, as you have more money, are you growing the people you have and adding the incredible talent that you're now capable of affording? And if you're doing that, I don't find the business to be more difficult. I find it to be easier.
I agree.
Now, if you're running a high leverage business, as that thing gets bigger, it gets scary.
You're talking about carrying debt.
You're carrying a lot of leverage debt to get very fast growth. And I don't operate that way. I'm too conservative.
And that's an area that I've done a little differently than you over the years.
Very much.
You paid cash.
I've slowed myself down
cash
so much.
For everything, trucks, you name it.
Everything.
Even Mike Andes has gone to where he's starting to talk about when you're at a certain point, you can finance newer vehicles.
I think you should. I wouldn't do it. Knowing what I now know, I'd do a million things different.
Yeah. See, we finance
I would have
vehicles,
financed.
and to me, the sweet spot, and I've tinkered with this more, and so to me, the sweet spot is you buy a vehicle, You lease it to yourself for 5 years. In other words, you make the payment. It's paid off at 5 years. You sell the vehicle. The wraps last 5 years. We wrap everything. Wraps last about 5 years.
Why sell in 5 years? How many miles are you putting on them?
Well, I'm talking more so Scoop Soldiers right now.
Okay.
But
because you guys are running
we're running
less dense routes.
A 5-year-old truck at Scoop Soldiers, well, you're driving a lot more. A pooper scooper, even if you're dense, is driving because they're in the yards a lot less. They're faster. So an average
could do more, so you're moving. But if you
an average FERT truck in the same density, Collin County density, an average FERT truck, I'm putting 12,000 miles on that truck.
Okay.
An average scoop truck, almost across the country, is 25,000 historically. So in 5 years, you're putting 125,000 miles on.
Okay, that makes perfect sense because I was thinking in 5 years we're going to put under 50.
No, yeah, that's more of the FERT. Our FERT trucks, of course, we don't have Mo trucks because those are subcontractors, but our FERT trucks, those are way less.
Okay.
And those, historically, the plan was to get 10 years out of a FERT truck.
Yeah.
For exactly the purpose you're saying, sell it at 100,000 miles, get 10 years out of it.
We're getting a lot of years out of our stuff.
But I've kind of flipped on that.
Okay.
Because I did that on my last round of fleet. I just retooled my entire FERT fleet. Every truck there, the oldest truck is 3 years old.
Okay.
Our main trucks are all within a year old.
Do you have mechanics?
No.
Yeah, so you can eliminate that.
I don't need any mechanic.
Yeah. When you're flipping like that, you shouldn't.
And that's the thing is I've learned that if you got to put a new wrap on the truck at 5 years, and the truck is paid off at 5 years, and the truck in the case of FERT,
are you leasing or financing?
I'm financing.
Okay.
But I'm EJ McCoy Enterprises.
That's right, because then you lease back from
EJ McCoy
your other
Enterprises
entities.
is a transportation company. It's my original business that owns all the trucks. And EJ McCoy Enterprises leases trucks to Scoop Soldiers and leases trucks. Hell, we used to lease trucks to franchisees for periods of time while they get the financing in order. But if I can sell a truck at 5 years when it's paid off with 60,000 miles, that's cash in my pocket. It's fully depreciated. That's the other piece is the depreciation. If you keep the truck for 10 years, you can only depreciate it for 5.
Yep.
So I keep the truck for 5, pay it off in the 5-year, 60-month terms, turn around and buy it again. But now I have a truck that's only got 60,000 miles on it, and I paid 50 for it these days. I used to only pay 35, but I paid 50 for that truck, and it's only got 60,000 miles on it. I can sell it for 30 cash and then depreciate into a brand new one for 5 more years. That's my newer logic. Historically, I did what you're saying. I think I would drive a FERT truck for 10 years, pay it off after 5, save the money for 5 more years. I still made the lease payments so that I could build it up and pay cash for it maybe. That was the original plan. But I've gotten to where with depreciation being over 5 years, as soon as it's depreciated, get a new one.
Last question. For all the individuals 2 questions here. First, what do you think the hardest phase of the business is? The most painful from a revenue standpoint?
Anything under $1 million.
Okay, I would agree.
I hate startups.
I kind of feel like under half a million's even harder, but it just depends.
It probably is. No. Under half a million. It's hard. This is
2 to 5 or 2 to 6 is just misery or something. I'm not trying to disagree. I was just processing this. It's
in the million.
Under $1 million. I'm not million, not 2 to 6 million. I'm saying like 200,000 to 600,000.
Yes.
I feel like because most people get stuck.
Yes.
I asked you the question and I talked over you, but
you're
under
correct.
$1 million is
it's under $1 million for sure. Josh and I, my business partner, we joked for years. And when I go back and look at like in hindsight, how Josh and I operated as we build. You joked earlier, it's a wonder how you got here. In a lot of ways, Cahill was the genius behind a lot of it in the sense that so Josh comes to work for me in 2011. I'm using spreadsheets. That's my schedule is spreadsheets. Everything is on spreadsheets. Yeah, I used Excel spreadsheets. And Josh says, hey, EJ, he comes to work for me February 2011 at what is today Chorby. And then, of course, we started the poop scooping business. And he says, hey, EJ, you really probably should think about having like a database to hold all our clients in. And he said, you should check out this lawncaremillionaire.com site. I think this is what we should use. And so
he's a smart dude.
Yeah, he is.
Smartest one in the
whole, no doubt, 100%. I know you're trying to give a dig, but it's so true. but and so then, I mean, again, there's countless examples throughout the years. And so literally a few months later, he's like, EJ, you're subcontracting all your fertilization and weed control to Grow Green, your competitor, and you're spending like 10 grand a month subcontracting a service that you could make money on. You have 200 of these. And I said, Josh, I don't want to go to school and get a license for that crap. You go to school and get a license for it. That's how he got ownership.
Oh,
you
really?
go to school and get a license. Basically,
Okay.
you go to school and get a license for it, and you do it. And he said, okay. And he literally established, knew nothing about it. Went and got licensed Texas Department of Agriculture, brought it in-house, our 200 clients, and from 2011 to 2016, he established a 7-figure FERT business off of my mowing business. And at the same time, in that same time period, we built a 7-figure mowing business. The only thing I ever established was mowing.
Okay.
He established FERT. Then he established poop scooping. Then he helped establish pest control. And those are the verticals that to this day we still do. What I'm half decent at is managing it. We have historically not gone down in revenues. I can manage it and I can grow it incrementally 10, 15, even 20% a year in some cases. But we always joked that Josh loves the excitement of the new. Under $1 million, he loves it. He loves a new team. He loves one person or two people that he's working closely with. And, you know, that nucleus of a team, that the 3 of them or the 4 of them are just going at it. The moment the team starts to get to a point that it needs people, it needs lots of people in it, and it needs systems, and it needs processes, and you need job titles simply for communication, not for ego purposes, but for communication purposes. That's where Josh loses interest, but that's also where I gain interest. So 2016, he stepped away from the FERT. I took it on, and of course we've doubled it since then, but he established it. And that's what really has always worked. So I'll for sure say the under $1 million is the hardest phase of business.
I am so convinced, and so many people feel that if it's over $1 million, it's going to be worse. And I just think it's absolutely wrong.
Never.
All right.
Unless you're bad with people. If you do not know how to lead people, you might be right.
But that's where the magic of, I mean, if you look at I think this is a fair statement. What has led to a lot of your success is finding the right people around you.
100%.
That's really seems like your secret sauce.
A favorite quote that I've never heard anybody say. Yes, a favorite quote that I've never heard anybody say, so I'm taking it. I've literally never heard it. It's in my inbox, and I snooze it for like every 3 weeks.
You wrote it to yourself?
I wrote it to myself, and I've never heard anybody say it, but I love it.
Okay.
Genius is determined by the people you put around you. That's where, at least for me, because I ain't gonna be no mathematical genius, but genius for me will be determined. Whether or not I succeed in whatever it is will be determined by the people I put around me. I've always believed that. That's why Jeremy's just celebrating 9 years with me.
So the follow-up is, if under $1 million sucks and you need to get out from under that burden, what's the fastest way to get through the 0 to 1 million phase of the business? And I think of it, to be fair, as having a couple phases within there, first getting to 350 is a really big one. And so there's a few little plateaus in there, but just to get out of that million, based on all the different things you've tried and the different businesses you've done, what do you think the fastest way through $1 million is?
Find a trend. We were talking trends earlier. You gotta ride a wave. You gotta find a trend. They're always out there. I'm always looking, even to this day, for the next trend. But also, as much as you possibly can, be willing to sleep in your office, whatever that means to you, but be willing to literally do all the work. And also, and this gets harder and harder the older you get and the more that life gets to you, whether it be spouses or whether it be kids, but live on nothing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Live on nothing.
Yeah.
I always
because you can afford to pay people to help you get more done and get out of it.
And marketing.
Yeah.
For me, it was marketing. I actually was slow to hiring people probably, but for me, I was really aggressive on marketing, and I wasn't afraid to try new marketing things. I remember doing a $4,000 ad spread on a local magazine. And I remember thinking my dad's very conservative, business savvy, but also he would never have spent $4,000 on such a thing to just try it.
Yep.
I was willing to literally gamble and spend $4,000 and hope that it worked. And what I found was sometimes it worked and other times it didn't, but it worked enough. And we would find a wave. SEO is a wave at Scoop Soldiers that we found. But I would say it this way too. You've got to be willing, at least in my experience, you've got to be willing to spend the money.
Yep. I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Great conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
You bet.